You know what? Do what you gotta do. Start martial law. Get rid of posse comitatus. Put me in the gulag and FEMA camps. But stop with these dancing TikTok videos. Welcome back. This is Luke Rudowski of WeAreChange.org. And in this video, we are going to be talking about the dangerous turning points that we have reached now. Not just in obnoxious, cringy TikTok videos, but now where you can get arrested, not even for disagreeing with the mob, but someone in the mob just doesn't like you, and now the police will come and arrest you. Yes, that's the situation right now that just happened moments ago to Dan of PressForTruth.ca in Vancouver, Canada, which of course we're going to be talking about extensively in this video. And before we get into that, plus all the other important latest news developing right now, I wanted to remind everyone we are only here because of your support, your contribution to free-thinking independent media. There's many ways you could support with physical mail, cryptocurrencies, sponsorship products, even ways without spending a dime. All of them are listed on wearechange.org/donate, which is down below. Sincerely, thank you very much for helping us out during these very difficult times, especially since independent thinking is becoming less and less available as it is constantly attacked. Now, what just happened to Dan of Press for Truth is just insane, utterly crazy, and demonstrates the real horrible position we're in, stuck between a rock and a hard place, stuck between the state and the mob, instead of all of us doing the rational thing and, standing up for truth, which sadly is not happening here at all. It is the first casualty of a war, and that's exactly what it looks like we're in right now. Now, to give you the full story of exactly what just transpired here, which is just, again, utterly insane, Dan is an independent journalist who works for Press for Truth, an independent media organization just like the one that you're watching right now. And Dan went out to cover a Black Lives Matter event in Vancouver, Canada, which he did for almost 3 hours successfully without any problems. He walked around the event, he filmed some of the speakers, he talked to some of the individuals there. There was no issues, there was no problems for over 3 hours. Again, you could watch this video yourself. We'll link it down in the description below. And then he starts to get accosted by weird-looking yuppie individuals like this, and then progressively getting treated more aggressively, getting signs in his cameras, getting shoved, having music blasted in his ear, pushed around from, of course, what started with one person to two people to what eventually ended up being a mob, calling him a, quote, racist and white supremacist. Now, for full transparency, of course, I know Dan. I worked in the field with Dan, covering previous protests and covering other events like Bilderberg before. And knowing him for years now, seeing him in the field, I had many political disagreements with him, and that's okay. But one thing that he is definitely not anything the mob was accusing him. Definitely not a white supremacist or racist. I have never seen any indignant or bigoted behavior from Dan, not even the morsel of hints suggesting this. So for the mob to start screaming at Dan that this thing is truly absurd. This is also, of course, shocking to Dan, who starts to try to rationalize with the mob. And he says, what's one thing that I did? What's one thing that I said that you think is an example of any of the things that you are accusing me of? And of course, no one has the answers. The police arrive there, and instead of going after the people harassing someone, intimidating someone, shoving someone, assaulting someone, they just tell Dan to leave the area. He, of course, refuses to leave the area multiple times from officers when they asked him to leave, saying, of course, that this was a principled issue for him. With the cops arriving, this, of course, also brings more protesters. The crowd gets bigger and angrier for some reason, and that's when the cops physically grab Dan and escort him out of the area, proceeding down the street, where, of course, the mob of protesters grows. Then the police try to figure out a plan to get Dan out of there safely, since, of course, the crowd is only getting more enraged, accusing him, again, of this insanity. Again, also, one of the most craziest things here is just to see the mob in action in total anger, in total foaming at the mouth fervor against someone based off totally made up characterizations of him that are not true. There was even people claiming that he was literally running around the protest before this screaming racist chants, which of course he never did. You could watch 3 hours of his coverage since he arrived there, but it doesn't matter. The mob is going to scream at him and tell everyone that he was loudly, proudly running around the entire rally screaming racist slogans, which again, he never was. I mean, look at these people. They are just freaking out. I mean, this person could be Dan's child. She probably doesn't even know who Dan is, and she's freaking out against him. Somehow Dan is the issue of all of their concerns. Somehow Dan is the big problem here. I mean, this is just absolutely disappointing to see in humanity, and you truly get to see the fervor of the mob right here in action. And we're going to play a little clip here and show you just how escalated it got. And here, of course, it looks like Dan gets clocked with something. Police officers, of course, don't go after that person or another person that just assaulted Dan. Of course, this is also just complete chaos that's unfolding here. Dan, of course, lost one of his cameras here during this action, and of course, the cops are just pushing him out the way, of course, escorting him out of there before the situation totally unfolds and explodes. And then after all of that, this happens. And boom, the camera gets snatched away from Dan. And this is pretty crazy because this is the same Dan that literally a few years ago made full feature-length documentaries about the police state. And now, according to this mob, he's the #1 issue and concern from them that they have to violently attack and go after. Dan, of course, released a statement after this detailing how he was sent to the precinct for hours, as of course he was under arrest and charged. Yes, after everything that you just saw unfold, it was Dan that was charged with disturbing the peace and assault. Now, of course, if you watch that video, no assault happened, but this is absolutely bonkers insane. Again, Dan didn't even disagree with the mob. Dan was just targeted with them since, of course, he has his own views and opinions that may not align with some of these people here. He doesn't have opinions that align with me. But to treat him like this because of that is just absolutely wrong. No matter where you stand, this is wrong. Wrong by the mob, wrong by these officers. And of course, after that, you have still many people slandering him, lying about him, and also doxing him and his home address. And I ask, for what? What was... What am I missing here? I mean, why at this moment is Dan the #1 priority of this movement? And again, when you make Dan your problem, when you racially charge this problem, when you politicize it, just like we see every 4 years this issue come up and be weaponized, this of course creates division, which stops you from actually getting anything done, getting any accountability, because in my opinion, the state wants this to be a white versus black issue, rather than a citizenry versus the government issue. And again, look at what the government did. They spread fear. They locked us down for months. They took away our ability to earn money. They arrested and censored anyone who opposed them, and now they see a political movement that will benefit them, so they promote it. And now it seems, as Michael Tracy pointed out, that almost every elected official in the United States is bending over backwards, praising, accommodating, encouraging, deploying public resources for your cause. And I'm sorry, this is not an anti-establishment. This is not challenging the status quo, but this is the exact opposite. The state carries out atrocious actions that it deserves to be called out for, that it deserves to be held accountable for, but it never will when you make white people or Dan your problem. In the UK, massive protest, massive riots, as of course you can't even still have a funeral. In New York City, many businesses still closed. Protest? Yeah, sure. The media, the tech giants, the government will get fully behind that over this issue. But of course, For example, here in the United Kingdom, as pointed out by Partisan Girl, when their government literally bombed a sovereign country, overthrew a leader of a nation, and replaced them with a militia that brought back human slavery in Africa, there wasn't a mention of this. There wasn't anyone fighting against the true human atrocities of humans being used as slaves in Africa. The slave trade being brought back by the United Kingdom, by Barack Obama and his government and Hillary Clinton. Well, that, of course, no, that's not something that we're going to protest over. Jeffrey Epstein, a government insider, connected abuser of thousands of innocent children. He, of course, never held accountable, let go. Are there any big, legitimate, huge movements and protests against something so important that proves the government is so evil? No. And that's really the moment. That's really where the light bulb should be lit up in your head and say, wait, something is up here. Again, I'm not delegitimizing any of the protests. There are some legitimate concerns. There are some legitimate issues, like the Buffalo police officers that are resigning because they essentially can't get away with severely hurting an elderly person. That's an issue that deserves to be rectified, to be dealt with, to have some real accountability for. But when you have a movement that is so jumbled, that is so generalized, that has so much mob violence and rule, wherever you may not stand, wherever the mob at that moment, at that time stands, well, you're gonna have some pain and suffering inflicted on you. The mob will tell you to say something, to say nothing, to take a stand, and to sit down, that you're saying too much, that you're not saying enough, to use your privilege, to not use your privilege. They will tell you that silence is violence, and also at the same time that words are violence. And I'm sorry, but if you accidentally falter on any of these demands at any time that they seem worthy, well, they are going to hurt you. Tech companies will suspend you, your jobs will fire you, you will be attacked, and at the end of the day, in some instances, the police will even show up and arrest you. And that is not a society that I want to live in. It is not a just society, and in fighting a problem, we need to make sure that we don't create a bigger one while doing that. And the fact that we can't even have a civil, intellectual, normal conversation is something that should worry everyone and needs to be pushed back against. If you agree, share this video with your friends and family members. Truly, we're in a difficult position. We're in between a rock and a hard place, the state and the mob. It's a place that, of course, more than ever, we need sound, rational, intellectual conversations in order to push back against these two hyperbolic, dangerous positions that need to be rectified as peacefully as possible. That's my take on it. If you think I missed anything, let me know down in the comment section below. Without you, I wouldn't be here. This is why. Love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.